Hi, this is Red Flag of Narcissist, extreme displays of polar opposite moods, behaviors, and temperaments. So we all kind of have different times in our day or in our life, different periods we go through where we have different moods or different temperaments in general. But with narcissists, it's way more extreme. Not only is it more extreme, but you're going to see it happen with less of a outside or environmental trigger than, let's say, quote unquote, a normal person. And it's also going to be accompanied by other signs and red flags of being a narcissist. So when you look at yourself or somebody else and you just see these, once in a while periodic changes in mood and behavior or temperament, this doesn't necessarily mean per se someone's a narcissist. But again, it's on a spectrum, just like all of the red flags or signs of narcissism is. So when you're looking at this as a red flag, look at it as in terms of, is it extreme? How extreme is the change of mood? How extreme is the change of behavior or temperament? How often is it happening? And is it happening within a small kind of framework, or is it huge leaps? So for example, my ex-husband, who was diagnosed with NPD, had huge temperament changes and huge mood and behavior polar opposite changes. So he could go from being incredibly laid back, almost like too laid back, like it's a show or it's almost like it's something that they're putting on, to just raging within the matter of an hour, and then back to being super cool and super laid back. And this isn't necessarily normal or healthy behavior, as anyone who's been around it knows. So we all have periods of time where we get angry, or we may be frustrated, or even, dare I say, rage. Not in the same way that a narcissist does, but, be very frustrated, be very angry, be very volatile almost, because we're just so, angry or having so much anxiety and a change in our life or stress in our life. But with most quote unquote emotionally normal people, the 0 to 100, going from a calm, what is an average state for us as a person, to that extreme anger or rage state, happens very gradually. It's a buildup. And even when we're in that state, we will have a certain amount of self awareness and the ability to self regulate, self soothe, and be apologetic. I know that most emotionally healthy, normal people, and I say that in quotes because, look, there is no actual, emotional healthy, emotional normal, but, talking on that kind of spectrum of what is a baseline emotional health or emotional normalcy, we tend to see within ourselves as we're doing it, even if we feel very justified in our anger or in our displays of anger or yelling at somebody else, we still often will understand that it's still not right to do that, even if we feel justified. Even if we know that that person, quote unquote, deserves it, we still may explode, but it's accompanied by this idea of, not even empathy as much as almost an apology towards understanding that this wasn't the healthy way of expression. So that even when an emotionally healthy or normal person will get angry and will explode, or, like I said, rage, and I say this in a very broad, normal sense, rage in these times in our life, and we know that the person deserves it. We will, and we can't control ourselves in these particular moments. We also are still aware that that was wrong to do and that that wasn't the right way to express it. But narcissists, they have no such insight, and they have no such ability to say, oh, maybe I shouldn't have expressed it that way. Maybe and they have no such way of apologizing even, while in that rage. It's almost as though they're out of control. The apology that you'll get, if you get an apology, and usually if they are a narcissist, the apology is not a real apology, but often narcissists will apologize after the rage when there's consequences to their actions. The apology comes when they feel like they're not going to get something that they want from you, or that they're trying to get from you because they acted in that way. They're not really apologizing because they hurt you or because they genuinely feel bad for their behavior towards you, or that they understand that they expressed their feelings in a inappropriate or unhealthy way. That's not what they're usually apologizing for. What they're apologizing for is that they're sorry that they are not getting what they want from you now that they acted this way to you, basically. And if you listen to their apologies after these extreme rages or changes in mood or behavior, you'll kind of read between the lines of how they apologize. Typically, they're saying, or when they're saying it, they're saying they're sorry because you're mad at them and now they're not getting something that they need or want from you. So these very extreme changes also happen because remember what narcissists do. Narcissists wear masks. Their true self is buried so deep that they don't even know who they are. And so this false self is ever changing and is inconsistent. There really doesn't exist a real persona or personality or temperament even for that person, for that narcissist. They are going to change depending on what they need, what their wants are, what who they're trying to impress, what their agenda is, what group of people they're around. So, for example, the temperament of a narcissist around, let's say, a very, posh, highly educated group of people is going to be completely different than, let's say, they're hanging out at the hole in the wall bar and throwing back beers, and, suddenly you see this other side of this person, that the actual behaviors and temperament is completely different. We all, of course, have different personas to a certain degree by which we function in our lives. We're a daughter, we're a son, we're a mother, we're a father, we're an employee, we're an employer, we're a teammate, we're a competitor, so on and so forth. Of course, but at the core of that remains a particular set of standards, opinions, morals, values, personality traits, expression traits that remain consistent regardless of what maybe part we're playing with the people that we're around. But with a narcissist, that's not true. That their entire foundation actually changes. So it's not that they're only even changing and playing maybe a different persona or different part depending on who they're around, playing different role, playing the role of employee, playing the role of boyfriend, playing the role of girlfriend. It's not that simple. It's much more deep and complicated than that. That you will actually see in a narcissist that their entire framework of their values, their opinions, the reasons by which they believe certain things completely changes. And if you are wondering if somebody's a narcissist, or you've been around someone you know is a narcissist, you will see that one day or around one group of people, your narcissist could have one set of opinion or values or ideas about something, and the next day, completely the opposite. A narcissist I used to know, I always tell this story. I'll end this red flag video with this story. So, a narcissist I once knew who was a musician, he he said to me, and this was very typical. This is very typical about this just dramatic change. Of course, the change usually is more about mood and raging, being cool, but again, it's personas and just flat out opinions. And even in the most simple terms, opinions in the most simple things that normal people remain consistent on. So this narcissist I knew, one day we were driving, and on the radio we would listen, when we hung out, we would listen to the classical music radio station. I know we were dorks. And Tchaikovsky came on. And I said, wow, I love Tchaikovsky. And he looked at me and he said, I can't believe you would say that. Tchaikovsky is so, what do you say, so cliche and so, generic and, simple minded. And I was like, really? I'm like, I always thought he was very brilliant and very catchy. And I always kind of said if Tchaikovsky was alive today, he would be making millions, writing jingles. And yes, that's why I never liked Tchaikovsky, and I think he's a simple-minded composer, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, now that's his opinion on Tchaikovsky. Now, a week later, we were somewhere else and we were listening to classical music, and randomly Tchaikovsky came on. Or actually, you know what? No, no, no. We were in an orchestra rehearsal together. Yeah, yeah. We were in an orchestra rehearsal together and we were playing Tchaikovsky. And I was sitting next to him. We were stand partners. And I said to him, oh, I know you don't like Tchaikovsky, but I think, and he cut me off. And he said, what do you mean? I think Tchaikovsky is amazing. And he's saying it super loud. He's amazing composer. And he went off, I'm not kidding, for like 10 minutes about why he's amazing and his ability to harmonize and use fifths above tonic root notes is a blah, blah, blah. I mean, it was unbelievable. And I always use that story because even their opinion of whether they like a composer or not will change completely in the matter of a week, depending on who they're trying to impress, if they're trying to oppose you, what their agenda and goal is, and so on and so forth. So I think that's such a brilliant and very simplistic, you know, example of how narcissists just completely change their persona, their values, their opinions, their behaviors, and their moods. All right, until next time, everyone, take care. Namaste.